So I get so many messages each week. So I've got 14 Facebook pages, kind of all business oriented. Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and for various different reasons, different projects. Many different people I've met over the last couple of years, various book subjects. So I got one this morning. Was it this morning? I can't remember. I talked to that many different people. And it was something like, yeah, Paul Sykes, kind of being all that. You know, I was there when he got a good ad and on some gypsy site. And I was like, what year was that? He said, yeah, it happened. I was there. 2006. I was thinking he died in 2007. And basically, my wife could have beat him up from about 2002. The fall was great, you know. So you've all seen him on that documentary, which was aired in December the 6th, 1990. Nick Manners flattened him, 92. And I suppose he was a functional alcoholic in the years in the 90s. Went in Stanley Royd, which is, it's, I'm trying to think legally, what's the correct term? You're not allowed to call it a lunatic asylum anymore now. Middlesbrough had one years ago, St. Luke's. I think it's called Rosebery Park. You get the picture, don't you? It's kind of like, basically, yeah, I'm just trying to use the correct term without offending. It's basically a place where people mentally ill. So he was in there 2001, trying to give up drinking, did for such a lengthy time. So he was on these tablets that basically, I think George Best was on them as well. It's funny actually because Sykes and Best were alcoholics, and they were born, I think it might have been the same day or maybe 24 hours apart. But yeah, Sykes basically gave up drinking for months and said it was the worst thing he ever did. He just went back 2002 drinking, and then 2003 he was knackered. So that picture of him with the 8 coats on, certainly 6 or 7 coats, jazz hands. So that's from November 2004. You think he couldn't actually get any worse than that, but he did. And he was alive for another 2.5 years. But yeah, a lot of people would hunt him as a sport in packs, and it was quite cool, if you like, to have I've just beaten Paul Sykes up. Well, you didn't. You beat a shell of a man up who used to be somebody. But yeah, I get all them kinds of if from my thorough research over the last 12 years, the only one who really beat a prime Sykes was Terry Mitchell. And that was the back end of 79. So what would he have been then? 30, 33? And anyone else, he suffered a few beatings, I suppose, 94, 95, 96. But certainly from the 2000s, anyone else was just taking liberties with an old man. It was, by then, he still had the name, but yeah, he wasn't a threat to anyone in a physical sense, only verbally. And he was still a nasty piece of work. He still throw things at you and shout abuse, and spitting was one of his things he used to do. The police told me, I spoke to various couple of people, police, and he was, I don't know, was it like they put like a bag over him so he couldn't do it? Forgot what it's called, but yeah, it was, he was still as mean as cat piss when he was old. But yeah, yeah, I got a message there, and he was like, "Oh, we're beating him at a gypsy camp," and I thought he literally had a year to live. Um, yeah, I think his last criminal offence I'm aware of was about 2006 when he stabbed his friend. So that was the April 2006, 11 months before he died. Got drunk. They were sat boozing, drinking cider, and he stabbed him in the backside with a fork or a knife, or it was something. And then they made up the next day, but he was still arrested for it. I think the charges were dropped. But yeah, there's certainly a lot of people in Wakefield who, I suppose, took a liberty with an old man. Did he deserve it? I don't know. I think only God can kind of be the judge, but certainly brought a lot of things. Life came for the badness he did. It all certainly came back on him in his later days. But yeah, his fall was absolutely great. Was as hard as one human could endure. Physical sense, mental sense. Oh, you're talking about a guy who Neil Malpass really hit it on the head when I interviewed him. He said, once upon a time he was a somebody, and in the blink of an eye he was a nobody. And for anyone who was kind of friends with him or had any kind of connection, Sykes was he was one of them. Even when he was living in a cardboard box or a skip, he thought he knew better, and you couldn't tell him, couldn't be told. And in his later years, he was feral. It'd just be like trying to go to the desert and get a honey badger and take it home and try to train it to be a dog. It wouldn't happen. And he was more for the wild. He was happy to wake up in people's gardens and scrounge 5-10 quids here and there and off to go get special brew and that. And he just lived for that. But yeah, very, very hard. And if he did anything, he certainly got his comeuppance. If I say he was paid back 1,000 times for any badness in life he did, that's no exaggeration. Certainly in my head anyway, and certainly from the research I've did.